Alright, today is another 5-Minute Friday, and I thought I'd talk about my 5 favorite lenses for the Nikon ecosystem. So I've been shooting with Nikon back since the early days of the 700 series and the 800. The D850 was my go-to camera before I completely switched over to mirrorless cameras. So I'm pretty familiar with the more classical DSLR Nikon lens system, and now I kind of like to discuss more of the more mirrorless lenses that I've been slowly shifting over to. I guess in this video, I'd throw in my 5 favorite lenses so far that I've been using with the Nikon mirrorless system. So with that being said, let's get started and kind of go through these. So my new favorite lens is the Nikon 24 to 120 f4. Honestly, this has kind of become my bread and butter for a lot of the more video-centric content I've been shooting with on this channel, and the reason for that is mostly because of the range with this lens. This lens is a 5x zoom, which you don't see very often with a lot of cameras, and having a one-size-fits-all lens for zoom is very helpful. Instead of, let's say, carrying a couple different zoom lenses, all I gotta do is carry this guy, which covers a very wide range of 24 all the way to 120. So I would say this is by far my new favorite lens, and it being an S-line lens for Nikon, it really shows the quality in the video as well as the photos I've been taking. My new favorite lens, hands down. Let's talk about my second most used lens for this channel. I would say, let's see, focus, okay. It's the 14 to 24 f2.8. And this is a wide beast. It's so bulbous and large that you actually can't really fit a filter on this guy without a special cap on it, a special filter thread. And I think even if you have a special filter thread on it, it uses a 100mm lens. Mainly what I use this lens for is actually when I'm actually doing a lot of the vlogging and a lot of more of the landscape shots for these videos. Really fell in love with this lens when I took it to Flagstaff, Arizona and started doing a little bit of vlogging, but also a lot of the astrophotography and landscape shots that I got out of this guy. Oh man, it is gorgeous. And what I like most about it is it's so much lighter than the old version of the DSLR version of this lens. I don't know, it's just my second go-to lens. It's just so much easier to use this guy than, let's say, the other heavier version, which was, I believe, twice as heavy as this guy. Premium lens, premium shots, premium quality material. Yeah, I don't regret buying this at all. And if you have the money, I highly suggest this one. But if you don't have the money, Nikon recently released a 17 to, I think it's 28mm f2.8. It's not weather sealed, but it still has a lot of the high quality imagery and video capabilities as this one. So highly suggest that. Let's go with my most used old favorite lens, I would say, which is, if anyone's seen this channel, they know that it's the 24 to 70 f2.8. This is the Sigma version. I used to have the old Nikon version for the DSLRs, which was an award-winning 24 to 70 standard zoom range lens. And after beating that thing to heck for about 3 years, it finally gave out on me and unfortunately broke. And I couldn't justify buying the new version just because at the time I was shifting over from DSLR to, mirrorless, and I decided to opt into more of an affordable option, which this Sigma 24 to 70 art house lens is really, really good. I would say it's probably, for Nikon, it's probably the second best choice for the DSLR lineup. If they offered something like this in a mirrorless package, which hopefully Sigma and Nikon have been working together for that, I definitely would buy it. I'm probably going to be retiring this soon and trading it up to more of the mirrorless system, so I'm actually going to be trading it up to the Nikon 24 to 70 f2.8s mirrorless lens, just because this is a really heavy lens, and compared to the other mirrorless lenses, it's twice as heavy. But besides the image quality, which is amazing, the weight is kind of the only deterring factor, but it's half the price, so it's kind of hard to say no to half the price. Now let's talk about another lens that just happens to be in the DSLR lineup, that I've been using a lot, and it's actually the 85 1.8 for the F mount itself. I would like to get the Z format for this, the mirrorless lens for it, but I just can't seem to justify selling this just yet for paying twice the price for the same image quality. It doesn't make sense, but I really like this lens because, again, it is a really beautiful portrait lens, but what I mostly use it for is actually a lot of the B-roll in this channel. And thankfully, since it is fairly light, I don't have to worry about it, you know, taking up a lot of room in my bag, but also just being heavy. So again, I can't really justify upgrading to the mirrorless version of this lens, but again, it's a great travel lens, great portrait lens, just overall, just a really good quality lens. And then my last most used lens, I would say, is definitely my 70-200 2.8. I would say if I have a limited range of lenses that I could take with me, I'm definitely always going to be grabbing for this guy. Even though it is a fairly big lens, it's actually really light compared to its predecessor for the DSLR range. It's only about the same weight actually as this wide lens over here, maybe just a little bit heavier. But what I like about it is its image quality. If I'm going to be doing a lot of more travel content or doing more nature style photography, I'm always going to have a 24-70, a standard zoom, and maybe a portrait, or even a wide lens really. But I'm always going to be gravitating towards a high standard zoom lens, mainly because I do have the 2x teleconverter. So when I apply it to this guy, it changes it to a 140 to 400. I believe it's an f6 or 5.6. And honestly, that gives me a 100, almost the equivalent of the Nikon 100 to 400. It is a little slower, it is not as sharp, but these kind of 5 lenses have become the standard that I use a lot of my kit for. I might throw in the 24mm occasionally, but these 3, one way or another, I'm reaching for these guys the most often. And recently, the most often reached over lens that I go for is definitely this new one, which is the 24 to 120. Each of these lenses honestly deserves its own review as to how good the quality is. But for me, being a Nikon shooter, I've noticed that a lot of Sony people and Canon people kind of talk about their lenses, their go-to lenses. And I didn't see too many Nikon users, so I thought I'd kind of throw my hat in the ring, really, so to speak, and kind of give you guys my perspective of where I think a lot of these lenses could shine. If you can't afford, let's say, the mirrorless version of the lens, don't feel bad. The old school F-mount lenses are still fantastic, and they get the job done very well. Kind of where I foresee take on the Nikon ecosystem so far is really Nikon has been very adamant towards their core users of, let's say, the landscape folks, the bird folks, the wildlife folks, the portrait folks. And the one area I've noticed that they've been really pushing for recently is more of the video centered folks, which I think is the main reason they actually developed this lens right here. That's kind of where my lens collection really stands. I do have one other lens, but it's become really a specialty lens. But really, these are kind of the 5 core lenses I use every day for either be it doing portraits, doing landscape, doing travel content, doing, video work here for this channel. These have kind of become the core lenses that I really enjoy using. I probably see myself maybe upgrading and to the newer versions for these guys just because it'll be a little lighter. But overall, I think these lenses, even having just these 4 or these 3, the standard zoom for anyone starting out is a really great option. And if you can't afford the premium S-line version, Nikon has a more affordable, if you will, wide lens, a more affordable standard zoom lens. And they did announce that they have a more affordable extra zoom lens coming out. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know what you guys think about my lens collection. And also let me know what you guys do, what lenses do you guys use for your Nikon cameras. I'm always interested in learning about what other people use, kind of what are their go-to 5 lenses, go-to lenses. Just let me know in the comments, and if you guys ever want to see a review of any of these lenses, also let me know in the comments, and I will definitely get going on that. Well, until next time, guys, this has been 5 Minute Fridays, and I will see you next time. All right, bye guys.